Welcome. Welcome back to the second part of this workshop series with myself, Cocktail Party Effect. Today we're going to be focusing on more sound design techniques and a bit of arrangement as well. Thanks to everyone that submitted projects, some really cool ones to go through. I've selected two that I'm going to work with. And yeah, hopefully you'll find something useful out of it. And thanks again to Fold for helping put this on, because it's a wicked project to be a part of. Cool. All right, so the first one we're going to work with is by Thomas Booth, and it goes a little something like this. Yeah, that's sick. Really nice. That's cool. There's some really nice bits in that. All right, let's get started. I think the first thing I'm gonna touch on here is like, because it's quite a how do you say this? A lot of ambience to this piece, and I think actually sometimes it's quite nice to kind of work on a little bit of dry kind of sounds to it. Example, the first thing I'm going to do actually, see what this happens if I do this. Not so much sound design, but in a sense just gives it a bit of a break. You know, the sort of sudden stops can be really nice, just to sort of like, you know, make the next part more impactful. The bass arp. So I've done a few little bits already to this. So the one thing I really wanted to try out with this was working on the transients of it, because if I play it on its own, it's really nice, but I find the sort of transients of it kind of get a bit lost because it's kind of like this rolling, thick bass line. So I added like a transient shaper to it. Let me just turn that off and on so you can hear the difference. Adds just a bit more pokiness to it. So if I play that with the drums, yeah. So to me, it has that kind of just a bit more pluckiness to it, which kind of works with the drums really nicely because the drums are like obviously very percussive and snappy. So you're not getting those like kind of thick sustained notes as much, but like you get those nice poppy bits. One thing you can also do, I don't know if this will work, let's give it a try. Let's just sort of put this into 16. Yeah, one real fun thing to do with tracks like this as well as a sort of production idea is if you take another channel and let's external in, let's go to the bass arp and let's record some messing about with the transient shape in Ableton. And this can be really cool actually, hopefully anyway. Let's have a listen. So, like what I did there basically was just live messing about with some resampling really, and I kind of messed around with the transpose as well. if you press shift and up and down, you can go through octaves. And I always find that's quite nice to do live, because obviously it won't be fully perfect. But I really like imperfections in music. I think that's something that's really really nice to sort of work with. So let's have a listen to this on its own now. Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds a bit more cleaner doing that. It gives more room for those drums and those pads to come in, because those sort of stabs you've got, these ones, because they're so like airy and they have that sustain to them. Well, sort of like the drift off. You want that to be really impactful. So if you have too much stuff doing it at the same time, like the bass kind of had that sustain to it, so it was continuing on the same sort of level of dynamics, if things get a bit too messy, so that just lets it really breathe. And yeah, so that's kind of one way of dealing with those situations. Another thing as well with these pads, let's have a listen. Well, these chord stabs anyway. Fun thing to sort of play around with is, again, using sort of return tracks here. And I love return tracks. It's always a useful thing to use. Get yourself a delay. Put that onto the ping pong, and let's send that to there. Cool. Take out some of that. So just want the highs of it, really. One real nice trick as well with the delay in any DAW. What I like to do anyway is I always put like a little bit of overdrive afterwards. And this allows me just to have a bit of crunch to that delay, so it doesn't sound so cold. With digital delays, they can sound a bit cold, because obviously it's just sampling what's gone through it, and it plays it back very clean. But if you have a little bit of overdrive, if I take it off, straight away you have it a little bit more rough sounding. Also, this bit here, I feel like you could just maybe leave that bass here and just let this pad just kind of breathe a little bit more. Oh, sorry, the microphone's turned down. If you didn't catch that, if it was too quiet, letting this pad breathe here would be a nice idea, because I think after this rolling bass line, it's nice to have a break from it for a little bit. I really like this this drum roll here. That's really cool. I think you could use that a bit more in the track actually. So let me see if I can do something with this. Let's go back over here. Yeah, using it more as a kind of a fill going into another section or whatever. One really fun thing to do with these, actually, if you kind of want to, like, I don't know, spice them up a bit, is, again, using a delay. And if you take the repitch mode and turn the feedback all the way off, dry and wet all the way to 100, you can get this kind of vinyl stopping motion. And what I really like to do with these is sort of take, again, resampling it. There we go. And obviously, bear in mind there will be a delay regarding, when it starts. So just make sure it's kind of at the beginning with the delay setting. There we go. So we have that nice kind of classic vinyl stop kind of motion. Sweet, nice. Yeah, and these claps here, definitely a stop at those claps. Also, with these kind of claps as well, real nice little fun trick is if you go quite close into the zoom and just do these little chops like so. You kind of get these nice... It's almost like a little a snare roll, which I've always thought quite like when you cut these audios like this, because, like a synthetic snare roll. And of course, the cool thing is you can always, pan that around a little bit, maybe. See what happens if you just... Wicked. With these chord stabs as well, in the second half, something that's quite useful to sort of mess about with is, again, it's a very simple little trick, but just putting it up, seven semitones. And you can try different transient shapes for that as well. You can take the textures one. So you get those nice little roll-ups going up to it. That will just kind of lift the second half of the tune up a bit. Give it some sort of a movement going to it. Also, one little fun thing you can do with pads like this, someone showed me this a while ago, which I thought was wicked, many years ago. And I always thought this was a really nice trick to do. So if you get a reverb, let's see. Yeah, just get a standard reverb and let's just put it all the way. Don't worry about it sounding like a mess because we'll use it later as something else. And the one thing I'm going to do as well, just to stop kind of overflow of volume, put a limiter on it. And I'm going to send like this. And what I'm going to do now is take an audio channel, external in, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to record it like so. Cool. So there's two reasons why that's really nice to use, because now we have this. I basically just have this. I can turn this off now, and I now have this pad. So let me just there we go. And that can also be a real nice change of dynamics in a tune, because we're taking these very big stabby chords, and now I've got them kind of like a pad kind of sound, which means, you know, I could do example things like even this bit coming up here. So you see what I'm doing? You can basically, you know, reuse these things and make them, you know, use them in different ways, basically, you know, like pads or percussion or whatever. The really nice thing as well when you do this is like, one tip I always have for people who are making tunes is try not to just put more new things in a track. Like if you have a nice basis for a tune, try and just resample the same things you have to make them into other things, because everything can be reused as something else. You just need to work a little bit harder regarding just routing stuff and, you know, being creative with different signal flow. I mean, example, like this sound again can be used. You know, we've got loads of stuff here. You can even use it as just like a little impact strike. You could even use it as a reverse effect if you wanted to. So loads of possibilities with this. Or one of my personal favorite things to do with things like this is to make percussion out of it. So just put the transients on there, 16ths. Oh. So yeah, loads of possibilities with that. So just try and recycle these things. Really nice tune. Proper dig it. It's like it's really nice atmospheres to this. So my advice really to sort of continue with this is try and resample everything. You could even do that with the drums, like just mess with the drums and like record weird delay movements on them and stuff on a separate channel, and then just cut them in between, and really play with those sort of things. And also remember that when you have a tune that has a lot of reverb and atmospheres, it's quite nice to go from very wide spaces to very like small spaces. So if you have a very like drowned in reverb sound, going from something with like completely dry, no reverb, that can be a real impactful thing to work with. So yeah, wicked, nice tune. I'm looking forward to hearing it all finished. Cool. All right, cool. So the next track is by Isabella. I don't know what the track's called. Sorry, but it's by Isabella, and yeah, let's have a quick listen to it. There's some real nice parts in this actually, and yeah, we'll go through it. Yeah, that's wicked. I think to me, there's a lot of really strong elements in this. And I think, I could be wrong, obviously. But I feel like there's a lot of kind of stronger bits than maybe you realize, actually, because there's some sounds in there and strange melodies that could really be like the main focus of the track. And also maybe taking things back a little bit. The whole less is more kind of mentality. Try and just concentrate on a couple of sounds instead of too many. Because the atmospheres you've got are really nice, but because sometimes there's a lot of polyrhythmic stuff going on, they don't really come through as strong as they could do. The first thing I'm going to do is, so you might have seen me while I was just doing this. I was doing some EQing because sometimes, where are you? Somewhere. Where are you? There we go. Yeah. So sometimes there was a bit of frequency clashing. So, example, this sound here. I just sort of rolled off a lot of the kind of low end of it. When I sort of take this off, you got this nice sort of thump to it, which is wicked, but it kind of interferes with this bass. If I take it on, if I put back on the EQ, has a bit more space to it. Another thing talking on that is the kick. So this kick is really nice. There's two things you could do with this. One is to maybe pitch it down a little bit. Let's see what happens if I take it down a couple of semitones. Cool. Because now it's sort of sitting in the sort of mid 40s area, which is quite a nice area to sit in. Obviously, kicks tend to sit like, 50 and a bit up kind of thing for that kind of chest punch. But sometimes it's quite nice to go a little bit lower so everything else can sort of move around it, especially if you've got these kind of lower drones and stuff like that. So let's have a listen to that with the track. And I'll just A-B it as it goes along. So to me, that sounds a bit more powerful with it a little bit lower. I mean, it's like shaking my room right now, which is always a good sign. So yeah, that could be really helpful. Another thing with this kick is that it sounds quite sounds very clean. So one little trick you can do is what I did here, and this is a good example of how to use a plugin completely wrong. I've got this thing called the Lindell 80s bus, which is obviously a summing output that you can put onto the master. And what I like to do with this is actually use it as kind of a desk distortion simulator. So what I've done is I've sent your kick to here, and it's giving this like kind of, and you can adjust it here, the THD, to really just clip it. And I can always make sure that it's not going to mash anything up. There we go. And the great thing about using this as a return effect is I can send multiple things to it. So I can give like the whole track this crunch. So if I sort of turn it on and off again. So again, it just gives it that just a bit of edge really to it. And it's really fun as well because it's just it just makes everything sound really crunchy. You can do this as well, like in an analog way, if you just throw it all into a desk and just sort of clip it quite hard, you'll get the kind of similar result. But if you don't have this plug-in, you could use, I don't know, Saturator or something like that, and just sum everything into there and just use it as sort of a return or something, just to give it that beef. The cool thing is by doing this as well, you can take pads as well, which is quite fun. Again, it makes everything just sort of clip and just sound really gritty. And the great thing is about when you saturate things like that is the low end tends to kind of fight with the high end. So the low end kind of just sort of pushes all the high end frequencies back for a bit. So everything just sounds like it's being really pushed. So yeah, there's one suggestion for this track, just giving it a little bit of vibe and roughness. Another thing is, as I was talking about, was the arrangement of it. Yeah, like this sounds wicked. And with sounds like this, they just need, again, a little bit of care to just make them sound a bit more epic. And another real nice way of doing that with a sound like this is placing it in a room. So let's use the hybrid reverb. And let's get a plate. It's always worth giving this a try, this pre-delay, this timed pre-delay thing, because sometimes it can work real nice with like rhythmical movements. In that case, maybe not so much, but yeah, putting this back again, you'll now have this bit more kind of, placing that sound into rooms. So it's not just so dry. The great thing about this new reverb as well, you've got the ability to change the era of the reverb, so we can have it a bit old. But I feel like you should use this more. Because it's a wicked sound, and it's weird, and I like weird. So, and same goes for this as well. This is really nice. You could try putting this more in the intro. Nope. And again, this might have some lower frequencies you might want to get rid of. Yeah. Cool. Let's take this kicks out for a second. And let's see if this works. Yeah. So you see what I was doing now? I was kind of just playing around with, putting something on there and then deleting it and just trying out different rhythmical ideas. That's a real nice way of getting out of being stuck, is like sort of playing the playing the DAW live kind of mentality, just sort of experimenting with undo and redo and all this kind of thing as it goes along, because again, that feels like movement. And I think one of the most important things to do when you're making a track is to feel like you're going forwards instead of getting stuck on a loop or anything like that. So I always like to personally, when I'm making a tune, just no matter if I'm just duplicating the same thing, I'm just duplicating it forward, so it always feels like it's moving and moving and moving and moving. So and also editing as it goes along. Great, there we go. Little things like this as well, like these chords you've got, they're really nice, but they're very quiet. So I don't know if, obviously it's up to you if you keep that in there. It's quite low in volume sort of thing, so it might add an atmosphere. But also, I'm always one of these people where if I can't hear it straight away, just take it out and hear what it sounds like with it out of the picture. Because to me, it sounds quite nice with it out there, so it sounds a bit more dry. And you can always add a little bit of grit to this one as well, actually. Let's get a bit of overdrive. This is really cool. Nice layering technique there. And the same thing as the other track. You can always experiment with resampling this a little bit. So let's take this channel. Is it number 13? There we go. Cool. And see what happens when you kind of just mess around with little tricks. So, example, let's get this and cool. And let's just do some resampling. And the great thing is you can always just chop that in places. So, example like this. So let's just take this here. See how that moves. Oh, let's get rid of that, shall we? Or you could layer them on top and just do something different, pitch it up. However, so that can be another really refreshing thing to do with a track like this. I think that's all I can think of. Regarding the arrangement, again, just have a listen to what you've got. Like, listen to those like melodies. Obviously, it's really hard when you make your own tunes to realize what you've got, because I'm the same. Sometimes I just put loads of stuff in there, and it takes like a friend of mine to come round and be like, yo, that bit's really good, use that more. Just to kind of go, oh yeah, cool, and then actually the tune isn't so much of a chore, actually. You've actually got all the elements there, you just need to kind of structure it a bit. But yeah, really nice sound design. You've got some really cool things going here, so definitely keep at that. One other little trick you could do as well, and I'm just going to throw this one in because I think it's quite fun, as a sort of resampling, well, not resampling, sorry, sidechaining kind of thing. Again, taking a return channel. As I keep saying, I'm a bit obsessed with return channels. I'm probably using it completely wrong, but it is what it is. Use a vocoder. Where are you? So, I'm going to send this kick drum to this vocoder. This is also quite nice to layer kicks with, actually, as well, because you get that knock. But what we can do here, let's get this kind of ocean sound going on. And let's get a dynamic compressor, and I'm going to sidechain this to the kick. So 21, down, cool. And of course, what happens is you get this sort of pulsing effect. You can always clean up with some EQ as well, just make sure it's not clashing in anything. The cool thing is, because you're using this, you can send more stuff to it as well to get obviously splashes of different frequencies. Cool. Wicked. So I think I'm done here. Really nice tracks, both projects. So hopefully that was useful. And cool. When these are done, well, when you're finished with them, send them over. I'd like to hear the completed thing. Cool. All right, cool. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully that was useful. The next workshop will be about glitch sound design techniques. I'm looking forward to getting that prepared. So cool, and have a good one. Safe. Welcome back to the second part of this workshop series with myself, Cocktail Party Effect. Today we're going to be focusing on more sound design techniques and a bit of arrangement as well. Thanks to everyone that submitted projects, some really cool ones to go through. I've selected 2 that I'm going to work with. And yeah, hopefully you'll find something useful out of it. And thanks again to Fold for helping put this on, because it's